Hiya 10, I'm going to show you how to make brioche this week. Hopefully you can make it over the next sort of couple of weeks and over half term, because we were going to be doing this in class. Brioche is an enriched dough, which means it's enriched with a variety of ingredients that you can use. It can be enriched with milk, eggs, cream, butter, or even creme fraiche. We're going to make a brioche out using milk and eggs. It is quite a long process because we need to allow a bit of time for proving, so we'll make a start. So I've already on the beginning of this video given you a list of the quantity of ingredients that you're going to need. So we're going to start with the strong red flour. So let me just get it on my computer. So I've got 450 grams of strong white flour here. Into this, I'm not going to use my mixer. I'm going to show you how to use it by hand, just in case you don't have a mixer. Okay, so salt. You need 2 teaspoons of salt, and we're going to put that on one side of the bowl because the yeast can actually kill, the salt can actually kill the yeast if in direct contact. So I'm going to put the salt on one side. Okay, and we're going to put the sugar. So 50 grams of sugar. And I've just got some more caster sugar here. Place it straight on here. Put sugar on the other. 50 grams. There we go. So salt on one side, sugar on the other, and we're going to put the yeast. I've got a packet of fast-acting yeast on the side with the sugar. Okay, so there's the salt, there's the sugar. I'm going to put the yeast in with the sugar. And remember, the sugar is going to help activate with the yeast. So I'm just going to use a knife. Now, I can use a knife, or I can actually use my hands, actually. So I'm just going to mix those together now. And now I'm going to incorporate the salt. Okay. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I've got 100 millilitres of whole milk here. Now, I only have semi-skimmed milk at home, so I had 80 millilitres of semi-skimmed, but I actually had a little tub of cream left in my fridge, so I've just topped it up to make that 100 millilitres of whole milk. If you haven't got that, don't worry, then just use 100 millilitres of whatever milk you've got at home. I'm just going to put that in the microwave just briefly, just until it's warm to the touch. I don't want it scalding, I don't want it boiling, I just want it warm to the touch. Okay, because obviously it's the heat, the warmth of this, the enrichment, which is the milk here, when it adds to the, with the yeast, that's going to make it enriched. So I'm just going to put that in the microwave just for about a minute until it's warm to the touch. Okay, so I have my warm milk here now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mix into the flour until it's combined. So obviously this is now going to react with the yeast because it's warm. Okay, I'm now going to add the 4 eggs. Now these are at room temperature. I don't put my eggs in the fridge. So I'm crack them into here. I'm going to add them a bit at a time until it's combined. Okay. Oh, Barney's joined me. Okay, I'm going to add it a bit at a time. Now the brioche dough eventually will be very sticky, so don't panic about that. Obviously it's going to be stickier because it's an enriched, because you've got more liquid than you would normally in a normal bread mix. Now if you're doing this in a mixer and you've got a bread hook, you just leave it on medium for about 10 minutes. We're obviously developing the gluten in the protein within the flour. Okay. Okay, let's get in there. I'm just going to get my hands in now. Don't be tempted to add more flour because it is sticky. Bring it together. Okay, turn that out. So now I'm just going to knead it. Now obviously I haven't added the butter yet, which is fine. I'm just going to start this off. Now you can see it is sticky. Do not add some flour. Just keep kneading. It will be quite gloopy. I'm going to knead this for about 10 minutes. Turn my watch off. Okay, so we're developing the gluten in the dough. So at the moment, it's not stretchy at all. It's a little bit, but not too much. But you actually want it to be really quite elasticy. And we should eventually be able to pull the dough apart and it sort of stay together, but allow light to come through. So I've kneaded it quite a bit. You can see it's becoming, the gluten is developing. It's still quite sticky. I've put it back into the bowl because this is the bit where it's going to get even wetter now. So I've got 190 grams of softened butter here. And I'm going to start, I'll see how I go. I've got a spatula here, but if not, I'll get my hands in. I'm going to add a little bit of butter at a time because this is where the enriched comes from, okay? So, in fact, I'm going to get my hands in. Now, if you have a look on sort of recipes online, there's different methods that you could do to incorporate this. Some suggest rubbing the butter in with the flour first of all till it resembles breadcrumbs, like you would do normally to make a pastry. I found this one on the Good Food website. This is why I'm following it here, so I've never made it before. But the butter is soft on the outside. As you can see, I'm just going to sort of rub it in as I go. And it is going to get stickier and stickier. If you want to put it into a mixer, you can do. But you're literally just incorporating it a bit at a time. You don't need to watch me do this, but you keep going until it's enriched. So I'll show you how it's going to be later on. Right, so finally did it. It did take me a while. Just going to turn it on here, so you can see it was really, really enriched. You can see it's a lot more stretchy. The gluten's been developed. So I'm now just going to knead it, and it will stick to. Still will stick to your worktop, but don't put too much flour because you want it to be this consistency. You can see it's very different to your usual bread dough because of the high fat content. You can see that it's really greasy, and that's what's giving it the enriched dough. It's going to be amazing once it's baked. Okay, so really nice and elasticy. So enriched with the milk and the eggs and the butter. Okay, so you can see I haven't needed to, I floured my surface a little bit. Depends on what your surface is like. And obviously the size of your eggs will vary as well. Mine are just a medium size. I just used 4 medium size. What I'm now going to do is I'm just going to put it into a clean bowl. going to place it in a clean bowl. What we want to do is we want to let it prove. Okay, so obviously we're now letting the yeast do its job. Okay, remember the yeast is a biological raising agent. So if you're on your oven, you have got a proving setting, a bread proving setting. It actually is about 40 degrees, and it just allows the bread to prove. If you haven't, so I have got a bread proving on my oven, but I'm not going to use it because I'm just thinking about people that might not. So I've just got a clean tea towel. I'm going to drape it over the top. I'm going to leave it in my kitchen, which is quite warm. So I'm going to leave it for about 1.5 to 2 hours. Okay, and then we'll have a look at the size of it. So if we have take a look at it now, okay, it's about half full. You can't see any air pockets. All right, if I press it, it's sort of the dents sort of stay there. So we'll leave that to prove over time, and then we'll check it in about 1.5 hours time. All right, see you later. Right, so let's see how this has developed. Lovely, so you can see it has proved slightly, it's bigger. And you can see that it has, as if I poked my finger before, do you remember it sort of was only a little indent. It should be easier to work with, so I'm now going to do, this is called knocking it back. So I'm going to remove it from the bowl, still quite sticky, but that's fine. I'm just going to knock it back. I might not need any flour, might just put a little bit of flour, not too much. So light. You can see the air pockets in there from the yeast. Right, so what I'm now going to do is I'm going to choose, you can either make it into little bread rolls and put it onto a baking sheet, but I thought I'd do something a bit different. So I'm going to use some butter. I'm going to heavily grease, this is a brownie tin. I thought that would end up quite nice to make a couple of little brioche dough ball, like brioche loaves. So I'm just heavily greasing it on the outsides. There we go. And I've also got, so much got left, I quite like these little sort of silicone little they're like little cake moulds, but I'll see how I go. So I'm going to use a knife. And what I want is evenly sized dough balls. Now, what we want is to create quite a nice smooth surface. It's the top you want it to be nice and smooth. Let's see what that looks like. Might add a little bit more to that. Might just dust my hands a little bit. Might take a little bit of work, but we'll see how we go. Just plop it in. I don't want to. We'll see how we go. Right, I'm going to continue with this. You don't need to watch me do that until it's all filled. I found a better strategy. So I've just divided all my dough, the balls up, and actually just by rolling it, put a little bit of flour on the surface and then rolling it gently in your hand to create like a nice smooth, that's better. Then I'll just plop it straight in. That's better. Better. Some of these might be a bit too big, so we'll see how we go. A bit more flour. Looking at the size of some of them, I want to obviously make sure. I could have weighed each of them. So I'm just rolling what's left into some tiny balls of similar size. Now we'll then need to leave these to prove again for about another hour, where we'll see them double in size further before we bake them. You can see why it's such a long process. There you go. So I'm going to place a tea towel over the both of them, let them prove for an hour, and they should almost double in size. As you can see, they've doubled nicely in size and really light and fluffy. So I'm now going to just brush with beaten egg to give it a nice glaze. I'm going to do it really gently. I don't want to squash out all that lovely air. And then once you've done that, you could then scatter some seeds if you want to, or leave it plain. You could put sesame seeds on, you could put poppy seeds, chia seeds, or just leave it, like I say, leave it plain. I've got some seeds here that I found in the cupboard. So I'm just going to do my little ones here. You could, if you wanted to, when you're making your brioche, you could flavour it. So you could have chocolate brioche or cinnamon brioche. So you can play around with the flavour of it if you wanted to. So I'm now going to just scatter some seeds, not too many, off the top. And then I'm going to put it in an oven, 160 fan, 180 non-fan, for about, I'm trying to remember actually, I think for about 15 to 20 minutes. Yeah, 20, that's depending on the size of them. Obviously my little ones here won't take long at all, so I might check after them about 15 minutes. But these ones will probably need about 20 to 30 minutes, so I'll take a look after 20 minutes and we'll go from there. Right, so get them in the oven and we'll see what they're like later. So I'm taking my little ones out. I had my Praps oven a bit too high, but they came out nicely. And then my loaves, because I greased my tin quite well, they're coming out quite easily. And I'll just break one of these open. You can see, oh, it's hot. Ooh. Yeah, that is hot. What a lovely and rich dough it is. So really light, more sweet than another bread dough. But there you are, brioche. So give it a go, see what other flavours. You could have had a bit of cheese into it, or garlic, or you could have made it sort of more of sweet with chocolate, cinnamon. So have a play around with some flavours, and let me know. Have fun, Year 10.